My next guest on the program is an actor and singer who co-starred in Mel Gibson's blockbuster film Hacksaw Ridge last year. Went on to win 2 Oscars last month. A fantastic movie. For me, it should have won the best movie of the year. Anyway, it didn't, and the judges went that way. He's about to be seen on our TV screens as well with The House of Bond, in which he plays Alan Bond, and is a celebrity ambassador for the Australian Turf Club. If that wasn't enough, he's now going to play Achilles in Paris, a rock odyssey. I'm talking about Ben Mingay, and he's on the line right now. Ben, nice to have you at Casey Radio.
Pleasure, Leigh. Good to talk to you, mate. I'm really thrilled to be having a yarn about Paris. I'm very excited. Thank
you very, very much about that. That's lovely. A lovely voice you got too, mate. Beautiful radio voice.
Well, you never know, mate. I think that's an avenue I haven't explored yet. So maybe you can give me a few pointers when I'm down there.
I don't think you'll need any at all. You're a natural. I think you're a natural on TV too. You're a natural on stage and screen. What was it like working with Mel Gibson? Tell me.
Oh, it was amazing. It's, it was a real treat. I think it was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities where you kind of have to pinch yourself daily. And, I think just you hear all these stories about him, and obviously you've seen his body of work, which is amazing. But you just can never be ready for meeting the guy in person and actually having him direct you in something, because he's really amazing and really creative and just very intense. He's a very creative, wonderful man.
I was surprised I didn't get the Academy Award for the best movie, to be honest. I saw Moonlight as well, but I don't know. It's one of those, I just didn't think it should have got the award.
Well, I've always, after many years in the biz, I've always just come to understand that, there's a lot of factors involved in these award things, and I've never really put too much weight on it, really. I think you either get it or you don't, and there's a lot of factors. But I think we should have got best movie. I always will, and I was proud of the work that we did.
One of the things in it, Ben, look, there were so many aspects of this film that were good. Everything was good about it, but the sound, the quality of the sound and the soundtrack that went with it, just brilliant. How Mel got all that together, I don't know, but it was just phenomenal. And I read somewhere about the effects that he was doing, the bombings and so on. They were incredible too, weren't they?
Well, they were. And, a lot of the stuff you see is real. I think, people don't realise, obviously there's a bit of CGI in there and a bit of post-production stuff, but a lot of that was to do with just safety with firing weapons right next to people's heads. I think a lot of the explosions and a lot of the sound that they captured from the movie was quite real. And, if you're there on the set daily as we were filming these scenes, you're just shocked at how loud these explosions are and all the gunfire and, like some of the big box explosions that we had where people were, stunt guys were flying everywhere. They shook the ground, they were massive.
So they really?
Yeah, and they just had a great sound team, a really, really, really great bunch of Aussie crew, and they just really, really smashed it out of the park. So
they knew what they were doing.
Really proud.
Well, you could tell that. And look, I suppose you've been to the cinema to see it too, like I have, but your seats would even vibrate. The subwoofers were going, boom, 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 boom. It was just, I love that sort of atmosphere in the theatre. Yeah,
well, I went to watch the premiere there at the State Theatre in Sydney, and went with a bunch of my friends. A couple of the wives were, sort of shaking out of their seats and jumping around. It was quite funny.
I can just imagine. Would have been a gruelling schedule, though, wouldn't it, to film that? It was filmed in around Goulburn, wasn't it, from memory?
Oh, yeah, all over the shop, Leigh. It was all in Sydney though. I mean, there's a smidgen in Blue Mountains, which was more like the love story between Dossie and Teresa Palmer there. All of our stuff generally was a little bit in Fox Studios, but the bulk of it and the battle scene stuff was out at Bringelly near Campbelltown.
Right.
And they had a big dairy farm out there that they were renting, and one whole back section of it was just, bulldozed and ripped up and trucked in all sorts of, hideous trees and dirt and rocks and, all sorts of stuff. I think, the amount of infrastructure that went into building the battlefield was quite amazing. Like there was all sorts of drainage and eco sort of measures taken. And once you got out there and saw it, it was just like you meandered through these lovely green meadows of the dairy farm, and then you just happen upon Hacksaw, and it's like going into hell. But it was fantastic, And the little bit in Goulburn, there was a big the actual Hacksaw Ridge, the actual cliff face.
That was Goulburn, wasn't it?
In Goulburn,
yeah.
So, we had a great trip down to Goulburn, And of course, we had all the cast there when we went to Goulburn. It was, Vince and Sam and all the sort of A-listers that we had in there were all in Goulburn. And we took Vince and the boys lawn bowling at the Goulburn Bowling Club, which was an absolute barefoot treat. So yeah, mate, we sort of lived the dream there in Goulburn.
Beautiful stuff. I worked in Goulburn at the local radio station back in 1966, 67, so it's a long time ago, but some fond memories. No, a beautiful spot, isn't it? And what's it like playing a true story like that? I mean, say it was set in World War II, it's a true story. Yeah. Is that hard to do? Or?
Yeah, I find it fascinating. I really think, to go to, some sort of fantasy stuff after that is quite a hard thing, because I have always loved the documentary. I've always loved true stories and, crime dramas and biological sort of dramas and biopics and this and that. And I think, like, to play a character like Dossie, I'm sure Andrew, there's a lot of pressure on you. It's like when I did the Alan Bond miniseries. There's a lot of pressure on you to make sure you do it service and do it right, and because, of course, the person you're talking about is not there in front of you. You can't really interview him. It's hard. But there was we had a lot of support. We had a lot of, people who were there and knew him and people who'd been to war and who supported us in all of our decision making and, gave us a lot of advice. So we really felt like we were in the moment, which was great.
Ben, you mentioned Alan Bond there. Now, of course, Alan's left us, but how did you go preparing yourself for that role? Because you are playing Alan Bond. Yeah,
indeed. That was a big one. I mean, I'd always, manager and I heard the Bondy story was coming out, and he said to me straight off the bat, he said, "You'd be great at this. Make sure you, don't get too skinny and get ready for this one because it's going to be casting soon." And we never heard anything about it. And I actually only got the gig 2 weeks out of production.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a very late call getting me in there. And I think what held me up most of all was I was too tall. But then once they actually did cast me, they then went and cast everybody else way taller than me.
So what height do you go?
Well, I was 6'1", and
wow,
Bondy was I think he was 5'8" or something.
Yeah, that's right.
5'7". Anyway, but like the pressure to play a real character. Obviously, you want to go and talk to everybody he knows, but that's not always the case. You can't always get hold of these people, and that some of them aren't willing to talk to you about things and whatnot. But luckily, I had a really great script from Sarah Smith, which brought the story to life. We had Paul Barry as a consultant, who was really fantastic on all the facts and figures and whatnot. So he was a really big help to have there. Paul Bennett, our producer from CJZ there, he was just hands-on the whole time, rewriting things and coming up with new facts. So I really felt like I was well supported, and I had Mark Joffe as the director, who was just fantastic, and just the crew and everybody. It just really came together, and I felt sort of safe in the fact that I was going in the right direction. Sometimes as an actor, you kind of get into spots where you go, "Oh, shivers, I don't know whether I'm doing this right or whatever," but I had all the people there going, "No, you're spot on."
Good.
Or, try a bit of this and try a bit of that. So, yeah, and I think what we made is really fantastic. I think once it comes out, it's going to blow everyone away.
When's it due out, Ben?
Well, it's due out any time the next couple of months. I think it'll be sooner rather than later.
Good.
So, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I think look out for that. And there's a great cast. Sam Neill's in that one, Adrian Pickering, Rachel Taylor. It's really fantastic.
Look forward to it. Paris, A Rock Odyssey. Now, you're coming to Melbourne to do this one. What a treat is to do this too. I mean, you're a busy guy. Yeah,
I know. It was just so happened that this was so lucky that this squeezed in the middle of a lot of stuff that's going on this year. And, as you know, I come from a musical sort of roots. The music was the first love for me, and always will be there. And I was actually just talking to management, earlier on in the year, saying, what are we going to do? Because I've got the swing on this gigs that we do with Falcon Millsy and Luke Kennedy, which are fantastic, but they're quite sporadic. But this came up, and we had a chat and just went, yeah, let's go, because I'm a big fan of John English, and I'm a big fan of the music of Paris, and I think it's a fantastic show. And the album sold 50,000 copies, I think.
Yeah, it's done so well, hasn't
it? And just also a bit of a tribute to John English to, just since he sadly passed away. I think it's just a really great time to be celebrating this. And, John Waters, a massive fan of his, so I'll be looking forward to rubbing. John Waters was one of the first artists I ever saw perform live. he came to Newcastle doing Looking Through a Glass Onion. I saw him play that as it was one of the first shows I ever saw. I remember going, oh, wow, that's amazing. So it'd be really, it'd be a really nostalgic sort of gig for me to rub shoulders with him and have a little sing and, looking forward to it.
Well,
and looking forward to coming to Melbourne.
Yeah, your singing there is backed up by your opera studies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of people. Well, people know that I'm a singer, but not many people are aware that was how it all started.
Mm.
I always sang in sort of rock bands and stuff to make a bit of extra cash when I was a youngster. And when I was working on a job site, I think it was the F3 freeway going through Newcastle there, we were out there on site and a couple of the fellas were having a bit of a poke at me because my girlfriend at the time had cut out something from the conservatorium out of the paper saying auditions for opera voice. And they were having a rib at me and a bit of a poke at me and said, go and audition for that. And I went, oh, yeah, I'll have a giggle. And I got a bit of a dare and got in there and got it. So it was very bizarre. It just so happened that when I got in there and auditioned, they actually said, you've got a real, a quality opera-based baritone voice. So I just went from there and
it's paid dividends.
Found I really enjoyed it. So, and also my kind of voice doesn't fully reach its true potential till I'm about 50, so I'm told. So there's just better times to come, Lee.
You got a few years to go there, mate, haven't you? Eh? Well, the Music Theatre Melbourne company, they're putting this on, and it's coming down. I've got the date somewhere here. It's a little July, isn't it?
Yeah, the 13th to the 15th of July, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. At the Melbourne Recital Centre, so a good venue for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking for. I really love coming to perform in Melbourne, and I think with the Music Theatre Melbourne, it's going to be great. And also the guy Matt, who's playing Paris, he's a newcomer. He's just joined up. He's actually with my management team.
I've got Matt on next week.
Yeah, Matt is like relative newcomer, just out of school, and he's fantastic. I saw him in a show here at the Hayes in Sydney, and he's really one to watch. So it'll be really good to see what he does with Paris. So it's going to be all in.
Well, Ben, look forward to following your career and certainly seeing you when you're down here in Melbourne at Paris A Rock Odyssey, and that's at the Recital Centre. So we'll keep that one in mind too for July. Pal, thanks for your busy time today. You're a busy guy, and I really appreciate you giving up some time for this radio program.
No worries, Leigh. I'm always happy to have a chat about what's coming up and let the fans know what's going on because there's some good things happening.
Well, Ben, let's keep in touch. We might do that in the future too.
Cheers, Leigh. Good on you,
Okay,
mate.
Ben, thank you, mate. Bye-bye to you.
Thanks.
There he is. That's Ben Mingay. Nice chap and a great actor. Excuse me a second. My voice is going. There, it's back. So you can look out for Ben in Paris, A Rock Odyssey. And he said he'd like to come back at some stage and have another chat about other things that are happening too, and we'll certainly do that. Bernadette, thank you for producing the program today. Been a very, very busy day today, but I do appreciate all of your help. Running a little bit late, and I've got the news coming up. You have a great weekend. Stay cool in that hot weather tomorrow and Sunday, and enjoy yourself.
Hello, Stephanie Anderson with you. In 9 News tonight at 6, a car crushed by a truck in a fatal 5-car pile-up at Taylor's Lakes. James Hird pays tribute to his wife, declaring 2017 the year of the comeback. Thieves go on a rampage through an Apple store in Melbourne's southeast.